Okay, question 1 was as follows. Simplify 2ab minus ab squared minus 7ab plus a squared b plus 5ab squared. So what we're going to do first, we're going to rewrite this statement here. Then once we have done this, the next thing we're going to do is now we're going to put like terms together. So I'm going to write 2ab, then I'm going to look for another term that has got 2ab, and that term is negative. It's negative 7ab, negative 7ab. So I'm going to say minus 7ab, then I'm going to write minus ab squared, then I'm going also to pick, as you can see, they we have also plus 5ab squared. So I'm going to say plus 5ab, then I'm going to write at the end a squared b. Okay. Once I've done this, then I'm going to start now working out. So as you can see, I'm going to start with this one here, the expression which is 2ab minus 7ab, which will give us negative 5ab. Then negative ab squared plus 5ab squared will give us positive 4ab squared. Then I'm going to copy a squared b there. So basically this is the answer, in case it's not clear. So basically this is the answer we're supposed to write, and this is the answer you're supposed to write. If you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. Please, as you watch this video, please, every time the question comes, before I solve it, try to pause the video and try to solve it. Then you compare your answer and my answer. Remember, we're preparing for the final exam, so please, taking interest to learn. Okay, with that being said, let's go to the next question. Okay, so question 2 was evaluate 9 raised to the power of 1 over 2 plus 1. So what we're going to do first is we're going to write this expression here. Once we've done this, then the first thing, the focus will be on evaluating this number here. Okay, we evaluate 9 raised to the power of 1 over 2. Okay, so what we're going to do now here is we're going to write it following the law of indices. So I'm going to write it like this. Okay, so that means we need to find the square root of 9, then raise the power of 1. Okay, that's the square root we're going to find. We'll raise it to the power of 1, so which will be added to 1. Okay, once we have done this, the next thing we're going to do is we'll still deal with this number here in bracket. Before we go anywhere, we will still deal with that number in the bracket. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the square root of 9 first. So the square root of 9 is 3, which will be raised to the power of 1. So the square root of 9 is 3, which will be raised to the power of 1, then plus 1. Then what we're going to do now, we will still continue focusing on the same number here. So we're going to focus on this number, which is 3 raised to the power of 1. When we focus on that, that means 3 raised to the power of 1 is 3. Okay, 3 raised to the power of 1 is 3. Okay, any number raised to the power of 1 is the same number. Okay, so we're going to now add 1 to 3, which will give us 4. So evaluating 9 raised to the power of 1 over 2 plus 1 will give us 4. That is the answer for that expression. Okay, so question 3 was the equation x squared minus 2x is equal to 0. So they're asking us to solve the equation, which is x squared minus 2x is equal to 0. So what we need to do first, we're going to rewrite this equation down here. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to factorize this section here. Okay, we need to factorize that x squared minus 2x. We need to factorize that. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so to factorize that, we're going to look for the term that is found in both. We know that x is found in both. Don't mistake 2, the power 2, the index 2, and the 2 which is these two. These are two different numbers, but the same numbers are x and x. So x in the x squared and 2x, they are found in both. So I'm going to say, I'm going to put x out. So x squared divided by x will give us x. Negative 2x divided by x will give us negative 2, which is equal to 0. Okay, once we have done this, now we should know that we are multiplying x by x minus 2. So this means that between these two numbers here, which is x and let me just draw it properly. Between these two numbers, one of these two terms is equal to 0. Okay, so in case you're getting confused, we are taking this x as a term on its own, as well as we are taking this this x minus 2 as a term on its own. So we have two terms, which is x as a term and x minus 2 as another term. So between these two terms, there is one which is equal to 0. So our question is, if x is equal to 0, what is the value of x? So we are saying the value of x will be 0. Or if x minus 2 is equal to 0, what is the value of x? So to find the value of x, what we're going to do here now, so I hope you know where we are. We are here. Okay, this is the numbers we are trying to evaluate. These ones here, the ones I've circled. Okay, x minus 2, that's where we are. So if x minus 2 is equal to 0, what is the value of x? So what we're going to do is we're going to put like terms together. So we're going to have x is equal to 0 plus 2. Then x will have the value of 2. Okay, so in this case we have solved for both terms. So we have x which is equal to 0 or x is equal to 2. So these are the two values that you are supposed to write in the answer spaces. Okay, so x is equal to 0 or x is equal to 2. We can go to the next question. Okay, so in this question we are asking students, using the said notation, describe the shaded region in the diagram below. Okay, so in this question they want you student to describe the shaded area and not this one which is unshaded. So you describe what is shaded. So first of all, we need to take note of the sets that are shaded. So you can see that set A and set B are partially shaded. So you can say set A union B, because both of them are shaded. Now when you come to unshaded area, you see that the entire set C is not shaded and part of intersection set of C. So you can say because of that, which is C is not shaded and its intersection sets are not shaded, so you can say intersection C complement. Okay, intersection C complement. So this is the answer we're supposed to write. Let's go to the next question. Okay, so in this question we are asked to factorize completely 2x squared minus x minus 6. So what we're going to do now here is we're going to rewrite this expression here. Once we have done this, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to expand this one, this negative x. We're going to expand it. Okay, so how are we going to expand it? We expand it in the way that the numbers we're going to use are those numbers when you multiply 2x squared times negative 6 times negative 6, 2x squared times negative 6, it should give you this product, which is should give you a product which is negative 12. Okay, because when you multiply 2 times negative 6 will give you negative 12. Those are the two numbers. That's one qualification they will have. The second one is that when you add those numbers, they should give you negative 1. Okay, so those numbers, when we think of those numbers, or when you think of numbers that we can multiply to get 12, which are the factors of 12, and they should also give us the answer, which is 1, those numbers are negative 4 and 3. So when you multiply negative 4 by 3, will give you negative 12. And when you add negative 4 to 3, it will give you negative 1. Okay, so that's what we're going to expand negative x. It's going to be, we're going to expand it to be negative 4x plus 3x. So we're going to write 2x, then we expand negative x, which is going to be negative 4x plus 3x. Now when we do that, that means we haven't changed the value of negative x, which will give us, which will be, so not give us, it will, then we're going to write negative minus 6. Okay, so when you look at this expression, if you look at the values, they are just the same, despite that we have just written them in different way. Okay, once we've done this, the next thing we're going to do is now we are going to put these 4 terms in 2 groups. So this will be the first group, which will consist of x squared minus 4x. So we're going to factorize this group we have circled. So what we're going to do is we're going to factorize it like this. We're going to find a number that can go into x squared and 4x. So the number that can go into x squared and 4x is 2x. So we're going to say 2x. Then we say 2x squared divided by 2x will give us x. Okay, then 4x divided by 2x will give us negative 4x divided by 2x will give us negative 2. Once we have done doing that, then the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to focus on this second group here. Okay, we're going to focus on this second group. Okay, where we have 3x minus 6. So what we're going to do now here is we're going to find the number that can go into 3x and negative 6, and that number is 3. So we're going to write 3, then we say 3x divided by 3 will give us x. Negative 6 divided by 3 will give us negative 2. Okay, now once you have done this, you notice that these numbers in brackets are the same. The expression in brackets are the same. So with that, what we can do is now is we are going to get 2x and 3. Okay, so we're going to say 2x plus 3, the 3 in the middle. Okay, the 3 on the middle, which is going to be plus 3. Then we are going to pick one of these numbers that are in brackets. As you can see, they are just the same. So we're going to pick one of those. Once we pick one of those, that means we have gotten the same. We have gotten from the same expression. So we can say now, we can say this. We can write that now. Now, once I've done that, that means now we have factorized completely the expression. So factorizing 2x squared minus x minus 6 will give us open bracket 2x plus 3 close bracket open bracket x minus 2 close bracket. So when you expand that, it's going to give you that expression there, or when you simplify that, it's going to give you that expression there. Okay, if there are no questions, we go to the next question. Question 6 was, at the end of the financial year, a public limited company declared a dividend. An investor with 1,500 shares in the company received 750 kwacha. What was the dividend per share? Okay, so in other words, here they're asking us the price for each share. So we are going to determine the price of each share by using the amount an investor received and the number of shares he had. So to calculate the price of each share, we are going to come up with a formula which is dividend per share is equal to amount of money received over number of shares. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to identify the amount received. So the amount received is stated here, that is 750 kwacha. 750 kwacha. So that is the amount that was received. Okay, so we're going to write 750 kwacha divided by, now the number of shares is indicated here, okay, which is 1,500 shares. Okay, so we are going to write over 1,500 shares. Okay, now once we have done this, what we're going to do is, as you can see, the number on top is smaller than the number which is down. So we're going to find the number that can go the highest common factor of 750 kwacha, or 750 and 1,500. The highest common factor of these two numbers is the 750 itself. So we're going to divide both sides by 750. Okay, so 750 kwacha divided by 750 is equal to 1,500 divided by 750 will give us 2. Okay, then we can say this is 1/2 kwacha, or we can convert this into a decimal number which will be 0. Okay, so when you say 2 into 1, it's 0, then 2 into 10, it's 5, so which will give us 0.5 kwacha as the price for a share. So dividend per share is 0.5 kwacha, or 50 ngwe. Okay, question 7 was given that 9, 15, 21, 27 and the sequence continues is an arithmetic progression. Find the A, 12th term, B, formula for the nth term. So let's start with the A, to find the 12th term. So here we ask to find the number that will be occupying the position of 12th. So to do that, we are going to use the formula which is the one you can see on the screen. Tn is equal to A plus open bracket n minus 1 close bracket d. Okay, so in this question we are asked to find the 12th term. So we're going to write T12 is equal to A. A stands for the first term in the sequence, which is 9. So where there is A, we're going to put 9, then plus, then n stands for the position of the term, which is 12. So we're going to put, where there is n, we're going to put 12, then minus 1 multiplied by d. So what is d? D is the common difference. D is the common difference. So the difference between the next term. Okay, the way the numbers are following, the first position to go to the second position, to the first term to go to the second term, what is the difference between those? So we can either pick the first two terms, then we find the difference of them, then that will be the common difference. Like this, we can get 15 minus 9. Okay, it's more or less like we are subtracting the first term from the second term. We are subtracting the first term from the second term. The answer we get is a common difference. So 15 minus 9 will give us 6. Okay, so in arithmetic progression, you cannot just only use the first two terms. You can also use any number as long as the second of that number is where you subtract. For instance, I can pick 20 and 15, 21 and 15. So I can say 21 minus 15, which will also give me 6. Okay, so as you can see, 6 is the common difference. So we're going to say, open bracket, where there is t, we're going to put 6 as the common difference. Once we have done this, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to evaluate what is in the bracket. So I'm going to evaluate the numbers here. 12 minus 1. Okay, that's what I'm going to evaluate. 12 minus 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 9 plus, then 12 minus 1 will give me 11, which will be multiplied by 6. Okay, still I want to get the value of 11 multiplied by 6. Okay, you can also apply board mass. Okay, when you see a certain number is inside the brackets and the other one outside, what we are being told there is to multiply those numbers. So we need to multiply 11 by 6 first. So we're going to say, we're going to write this, then we multiply 11 by 6 will give us 66, which will be 66. Then we're going to write that, then we say 9 plus 66 will give us 72. So the 75, sorry, give us 75. So the 12th term in that sequence or in that progression, arithmetic progression, is 75. 75 is the 12th term. Okay, we can go to question B. We asked to find the formula for the nth term. So to do that, we're going to use the same formula we used. Okay, so what we're going to do now here, we're going to replace the numbers or the letters by the numbers, and that those letters are A and D. Those are the ones we're going to replace, because the N, the number of the position, we don't know, so N will be left like that. So we're going to write what is the first term in the sequence. We are saying the first term in the sequence is 9, then open bracket n minus 1. Then what is the value of t? We found that the common difference is 6, so we're going to put 6 there. Okay, once we've done that, then we need to distribute 6 to all the terms in brackets. So we're going to write that tn is equal to 9 plus, so 6 multiplied by n will give us 6n. Negative 1 multiplied by 6 will give us minus 6. Okay, now once we've done that, then we're going to write tn is equal to 9. Now here what we're going to do on this stage, here what we're going to do is we're going to rearrange these numbers and write them according to their likeness. So we're going to put the like terms together. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to bring negative 6 next to 9, so it's going to be 9 minus 6, then plus 6n. Okay, then we're going to write tn is equal to, then 9 minus 6 will give us 3 plus 6n. Now, as you can see, we cannot simplify that expression further. That means that is the answer. So we can say that the formula for finding the nth term is tn is equal to 3 plus 6n. Okay, so you can try to use this formula to find other numbers. You can use even the one that's given in the sequence. You try to use the same formula. I'm sure you're going to get the same answer. Okay, let's go to the next question if there are no questions. Okay, so question 8a was as follows. Given that a is equal to 1, negative 3, 5, 2, 1, 0, find the transpose of a. Okay, so to find the transpose of a, what we need to do is we need to write the transpose, which is a is equal to, so it should be at, that is the transpose of a. So we should, a should be raised to a small t. Sorry, I forgot to write that. Then once we have done that, then we're going to open brackets. Now the transpose of any given matrix is where that matrix has the column in the original matrix becomes the rows, and the rows becomes the column. So in this case, I'm talking about changing the columns to write the transpose of A. We're going to change the rows, these rows, sorry, these rows, which is 3, 1, or 1, negative 3, 5 will become the columns. So we are going to convert that row into a column. So how do we do that? We are going to write them like that. 1, then negative 3, then 5. The same thing happens to the second law, which is 2, 1, 0, will become a column and be written like this. Okay, then close bracket. Now, what we have written here is the transpose of matrix A. Okay, so basically that's how you write the transpose. It's just changing the columns or the rows becoming the columns, and that's all. The rows becoming the columns and the columns becomes the rows. Okay, now we can go to the next question, which is 8b. Given that p is equal to 2, -1, 3, 4, and q is equal to -2, 3, find p, q. So what we're going to do is we're going to write the PQ there, then we write the matrix. So we are trying to find the value of PQ, which is going to be, so we write first we write the matrix P, which is like matrix P is equal to 2, -1, 3, 4, cross bracket, then we multiply it by matrix Q, which is -2, 3, cross bracket. Once we have done this, we're going to say equal to, then we open a bigger matrix. So we're going to multiply 2 by -2, which will be multiplied like this. Then the product of this will be added to -1 multiplied by 3. Okay, then we come to the second law, which is 3, 4, which means we are multiplying a law by a column, right? So what we're going to do now, we're going to multiply 3 by -2 plus 4 by 3. Okay, 4 by 3. If you're not conversant on how to multiply matrices, or you like the basics, please, there will be a link I'll put in the description box on how to multiply matrices. We talked about multiplying matrices in details, so you can check in the description box the link and just follow that link. You're going to learn on how to multiply matrices. Okay, once we've done that, then we're going to find the value of those numbers in brackets inside the brackets. So what we're going to do is we're going to open bracket here, then we say 2 multiplied by -2 will give us -4, plus -1 multiplied by -3 will give us -3. Okay, then we come down here, multiply 3 multiplied by -2 will give us -6, plus 4 multiplied by 3 will give us 12. Then we close bracket. Now once we've done that, then we're going to find the sum of those. So -4 plus -3. So here what we're going to do is, I'm not going to open another bracket to demonstrate what I'm going to do. Here, when we focus on here, when we focus here, you see that what we're going to do now here is, I'm going to evaluate 4 plus -3. So when you do that, when you multiply a positive by a negative, so we can say positive times -3 will give us -3. Okay, then when we evaluate -4 minus 3 will give us, so I'm going to open the bracket first, -4 minus -3 will give us -7. Then -6 plus 12 will give us -6, or you give us +6. -6 plus 12 will give us +6, and that is the answer. So when you multiply matrix P by matrix Q, you're going to get -7, 6. Okay, if you have got questions, please, you can ask in the comment section. If you want to learn more on how to multiply matrices, please check on the link in the description box, and to take you to the video where we explained in details. Otherwise, let's go to the next question. Question 9a was as follows. A letter is chosen at random from the letters of the word hello. What is the probability that it is letter L picked? Okay, so we want to find the probability of picking letter L in the word hello. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this word. Now we won't write it as an entire word, we're going to write it as letters. So we're going to write it like this. So as you can see, the word hello has got 5 letters. Now we are asked to find the probability of picking letter L. So what we're going to do now, from these letters, we're going to identify the number of L's in this word. So as you can see, the word hello has got these letters which are L. Let me just draw properly. So these, okay, there are 2 L letters in the word hello. So that means we are going to write the number 2 over, then how many letters are in the word hello? So when you count the letters all together, they are 5. So we're going to write 2 over 5. So the probability of picking a letter L from the word hello is 2 over 5. Okay, that's a probability. Okay, now let's go to question number B, 9B. Question 9B is solve the equation 125 raised to the power of x is equal to 1 over 25. 1 over 25. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite the expression, the equation. Okay. Okay, so that's the equation. So for us to solve this one, the first step we need to do is we need to convert this fraction into a power. Okay, we need to convert this fraction into exponential form. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to follow the laws of index. So we're going to write 125 raised to the power of x is equal to 25 raised to the power 1 to raise the power negative 1. Okay, so now we have written 1 over 25 as an exponential using the laws of indices. So that's how we have written it like that. Once we've done like this, the next step we're going to do now here is we are going to write 125 as an exponential or in exponential form. We're going to further write 125 in exponential form and 125 in exponential form. We are going to rewrite 125 in exponential form and 25 we're also going to write it in exponential form. So what we're going to do is we're going to find a cube root of 125, which is 5. So we're going to write 125 as 5 raised to the power of 3. 5 raised to the power of 3 is the same as 125, which will be raised to the power x, which will be equal to 25 written in exponential form will be 5 squared, which will be raised to the power of negative 1. Okay, so when you look at the numbers in brackets, they have the same meaning, they have the same value, they have the same value as the numbers in the second stage. So 125 and 5 raised to the power of 3, they have the same value. Same applies with 25 and 5 raised to the power of 2, they have the same value. Okay, now what we're going to do now next here is we are going to multiply the powers. Okay, so we're going to write 5, then we multiply 3 by x will give us 3x, which will be equal to, okay, which will be equal to, then we're going to write 5, then we multiply 2 by negative 1 will give us negative 2. Okay, now here, since we have come up with the same base, the two powers have the same base, that means we can ignore the base of the powers and then focus on the exponents or the indices. So what we're going to do now, we're going to come up with an expression which is 3x is equal to negative 2. Now here we have just ignored or we have left out the base and we have focused on the exponents. Okay, so now we need to find the value of x. Okay, so that means we're going to divide both sides by 3 so that x can remain alone on one side of the equal sign. So we're going to say 3x divided by 3 will give us x. Negative 2 divided by 3 will give us negative 2 over 3. Okay, so the value of x in that equation is equal to negative 2 over 3. Okay, so basically this is how you solve the question. If you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. Otherwise, we go to the next question. Question 10a was given that a is equal to x such that x is less than 6. X is a natural number. List set A. Okay, so this is the statement we are given, and then they have used set builder notation to describe set A. So they want us to list set A. So to list set A, first we're going to write set A. Then we need to identify what are natural numbers. Okay, so natural numbers, these are counting numbers, numbers like these ones, the ones I've drawn down here. These are natural numbers, the one we use for counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. Okay, so these are natural numbers. They keep on going, like they can even, you can reach 1 million. There are many, but these are natural numbers, are counting numbers. So now when we go to set builder notation given, we are told that x such that set at A is equal to x such that x is less than 6 and x is a natural number. So meaning the numbers, these natural numbers are less than 6. So if natural numbers are counting numbers, therefore we are talking about set A has members which are not these up to 5. These are the members of set A. Okay, 1 up to 5, because we're told x is less than 6. So therefore we can say set A is equal to that. Okay, so basically that's what you are supposed to do. If you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. Otherwise, we go to the next question. Question 10b was as follows. The diagram below shows a sector x or y. The arc xy subtended on angle of theta at the center O, and the radius of the sector is 6 centimeter. Given that the area of the sector is 33 centimeter, find the value of the theta. Okay, so we are told to take pi to be 22 over 7. Okay, so what we're going to do is first we're going to identify the formula for finding the area of the circle. The formula to find the area of the circle is area equal to pi r squared. This is the area of the full circle. Now, as you can see, we're just given a sector of the circle and you're told to find the theta. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to modify this formula. Okay, we're going to modify this formula. So we're going to write area is equal to, then we say theta over 360 degrees. Why 360 degrees? Because we know that a full circle has got 360 degrees. So now, since we have given a fraction of the circle, that means we're going to use the degrees of that circle, which will be divided by the full degrees of a circle. Okay, once we've done that, then we're going to put pi. Now, let's come to this formula, which is pi. So we're going to identify pi. Pi, we're given that it's 22 over 7. Oh, I forgot over 7. Okay, 22 over 7. So that's a pi given. So we're going to write pi, which is 22 over 7 times radius. Radius we are told is 6 centimeter. So you can see that the radius is given here as well as here on the diagram. You can see the radius. Those two are giving us the radius. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to multiply by 6 centimeter squared since it's a radius squared. So we're going to multiply by 6 centimeter squared. Now, when solving mathematics, at least if you want to do well, you should have good mental arithmetic. You should be able to divide or multiply or add using just your head. So you need to have a good mental arithmetic. So already I've seen that I need first to evaluate this first. Before I do anything, I need to evaluate 6 centimeter squared. Okay, because I can see that the product I'll get 6 centimeter squared will have the common factor with 360, which is here. Okay, they will have the common factor. So I will first take advantage of finding the value of 6 centimeter squared. Then later on I'll go ahead and simplify the expression. So what I'm going to do now here is I'm going to simplify that. That means the rest will be written just the way they are. So I'm going to write and remember, we are also given that the area, the total area is 33 centimeter squared. So I've changed where there was area, I've put the actual value of area. Then I'm going to say 33 centimeter squared is equal to theta over 360 times 22 over 7. Then I'm going to evaluate 6 centimeter squared. So which means I'm going to multiply 6 times 6, which will give me 36. So it's going to be 36 centimeter squared. Now, as you can see, 36 centimeter squared and 360 degrees, they have got the common factor. Okay, so the highest common factor of these two numbers is 36 itself. So I'm going to divide 36 centimeter squared divided by 36 will give me 1 centimeter squared. Then I come down here, 360 degrees divided by 36 will give me 10 degrees. Okay, then I'm going to again look for a common factor. So as you can see, 10 and 22, they have the common factor. So I can say and that common factor is 2. So 2 into 10 will give me 5. 2 into 22 will give me 11. Okay, now as you can see, there is no other numbers, or there are no numbers that have got the common factors. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to now rewrite the 3 centimeter squared. Then I'm going to multiply theta by 11 will give me theta 11. Then theta 11 times 1 centimeter squared will give me theta 11 centimeter squared. Then I'm going to say over, then 5 degrees times 7 will give me 35 degrees. Okay, once I've done this, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cross multiply. Okay, once I do the cross multiplication, that means I'm going to have theta 11 centimeter squared is equal to 33 times 35 degrees. 33 centimeter squared times 35 degrees. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 11 centimeter squared. Okay, so theta 11 centimeter squared divided by 11 will give me theta. Okay, so that means the 11 centimeter squared will be cancelled out and leave me with the theta. Then here again, you need to identify the reason I did not multiply 33 and multiply 33 by 35 is because I knew that 11 centimeter and 33, they have got common factor, which is 11 itself. So I'm going to say 11 centimeter or 33 centimeter squared divided by 11. So 11 it will be 1, and 33 it's going to be 3. Okay. So after that I'm going to divide 3 by 1, which will give me 3. Then 3 times 35, that's what I will write. So I'm going to write 33 times 35 degrees. Okay. Now once I've done that, then I'm going to write theta there. Okay. Then I'm going to multiply 3 by 35 degrees, which will give me 105 degrees. 105 degrees. Now this is the value of the theta, and I can still write it there, which is, we are saying theta is equal to 105 degrees. So that is the value of theta. The value of the theta is 105 degrees. So basically this is the answer we're supposed to write on the answer space. Now let's go to the next question. Okay, so question 11 was as follows. The diagram below shows the position of towns A, B, and C on the 8th surface. Any AC, S is the prime meridian. Okay. A ship takes 26 hours to travel from B to C, a distance of 1,560 nautical miles. Find the speed of the ship in knots. Okay, so this is the first question. So the first thing we need to do is we need to study the diagram. We take note of important key points, and and you make sure that you can get some information from the diagram. Okay, so how do we find the speed of the ship? So we know that the formula for speed is S is equal to distance, which is speed is equal to distance over time. Okay, now we can say equal to, so what is the distance given? So when you go to the statement in the question, you see we are given this 1,500, right? And it is in nautical miles. 1,000, which is in nautical miles. So the distance is 1,560 nautical miles, which will be over. Now we look at time. What is the time? We can also see that time is also given, which is here, which is 26 hours. So we're given 26 hours. So we're going to say over 26 hours. Okay. Then we're going to divide 26 hours divided by 26, which will be 1. Then when we divide 1,560 by 26, it will give us 60. Now this 60 should be 60 knots. So this is the speed of the ship. It moved at 60 knots. Okay. So question B was, if the local time at A is 10:30 hours, find the local time at B. Okay. So I'm sure you're able to see where town B and A is. So let's identify where these two towns are. So town A is CA and town B is CA. Okay. Now, even if their location are on different latitudes, you can see also that the distance between them using longitude is the same. Okay. So this town A, we can take it that it is on the same longitude, which is 0 degrees. So we can even say it is in this area. Okay. So you can see that town C and town A, they are sharing the same longitude. That means they're even sharing the same time. Okay. So we can say that the difference between these two towns, which is town A and B, is 30 degrees. Okay. This town, they are apart, and their distance, the difference in distance is 30 degrees. So we should also know that, we should also take note that every after 15 degrees there is 1 hour. So if two towns are 15 degrees in longitude, difference, that means they have got 15, they have got 1 hour apart. Okay, so if a town is on 0 degrees and the other one is on 15 degrees, that means the time on 0 degrees will be higher than this one, which is on the 1 or 15 degrees, depending on the sides. If it's on the left side, it will be lower by 1 hour, and this on the right side, it will be higher by 1 hour. Okay, so what we are saying here is this. We are saying that B is on the left side of A. That means town B is behind by 2 hours by town A. Okay, or town A is ahead by 2 hours of the time at B. Okay, so to do this, what we're going to do is, now we know that if two towns are apart by 30 degrees, that means their time difference is 2 hours. Therefore, we are going to subtract 2 hours from 10:30 hours. Why? Because town B is on the left side of the town A. That means we are going to subtract. If town B was on the right side, we could have added 2 hours to the time of town A. Now, since it's on the left side, we're going to subtract. So we're going to write, we're going to write 10:30 hours minus 2 hours. This 2 hours is the time difference between town A and town B. So when we subtract that, we are going to have, so when we subtract 2 hours from 10:30 hours, it's going to give us 8:30 hours. So 8:30 hours, this is the time of town B. 08:30 hours is the time of town B. So the time at town B is 08:30 hours. Okay, so basically that's what you are supposed to do. Let's go to the next question. Question 12A was as follows. The mass M of a bag of maize is 62 kg to the nearest kilogram. Complete the statement in the answer space. Okay, so here, for you to complete the statement below correctly, what you need to do is, first you need to take note of the quantity given. So we are told that it was 62 kg. So this is the same quantity we're going to get and write it here. Okay, now to use this number to find to complete the statement below, what we're going to do is, we are trying to find the low bound and the higher bound. Okay, the lower limit and the higher limit. So what we should understand here is this. We are given this 62 kg. So what we'll do is, we are going to get rid of the unit, and then we're going to just focus on 62. Okay, when you go to the statement, you see that it's written that to the nearest kilogram. So here, the smallest unit is 1 kg. So we're going to write 1 here. Okay, the smallest unit is 1. Okay, then if this is the smallest unit, then which means we're going to multiply this 1 by half, which is going to be multiplied by 1/2, and it's going to give us this, the product, which is 0.5. Now, for us to find the lower bound or the lower limit, what we're going to do is, we're going to subtract 0.5 from 62. So we're going to say 62 minus 0.5, which will give us 61.5. Now, this is the lower bound or the lower limit. So we are going to write on the left side of this statement, we're going to write 61.5 kg. You should not forget the units now. Here we're bringing back the units, so we're going to write 61.5 kg. Okay, so we are saying the mass of the bag of maize is greater or equal to 61.5. Okay, then we can go to now we complete the other side. So we're going to find now here on the right side, we want to find the higher bound or the higher limit. So meaning we're going to write 62 plus 0.5. So we're going to say 62 plus 0.5. When you add that, it's going to give us 62.5. Now 62.5 is the higher bound or the higher limit. So it's the high limit. So we're going to say m is less than 62.5 kg. So meaning when the measurement is taken, that means this measurement is ranging. This is just approximately, it's rounded off. So I'm saying this measurement is greater than 1.5 and less than 2.5. So the actual measurement is between 61.5 or is between 61.5 and 62.5. Okay, now we can go ahead and go to next question. Question 12b was as follows. A woman estimates the weight of her dog to be 13.15 kg. The actual weight of the dog is 10 kg. Find the percentage error. Okay, so we asked to find the percentage error. So to find percentage error, what we do is, or the formula we use is percentage error is equal to relative error times 100%. Okay, so what we're going to do now here is we need to find relative error. So to find relative error, we're going to use the formula, which is relative error is equal to absolute error over true value. Okay, now here, as you can see, we don't know, we are not given the absolute error. Okay, true value is given, which is 10 kg. So what we're going to do now here is we are going to find the absolute error. So to find absolute error, we use the formula, which is absolute error is equal to estimate value minus true value. So what we're going to do now here is we need to find the absolute error. So we're going to, what is the estimate value? The estimate value, the woman estimated that the weight of the dog is 18.15 kg. Then in the actual sense, the true weight of this dog is 10 kg. So that is the true value, which is 10 kg. Okay, then we need to find the difference of the absolute error, the estimate error minus true value, which is going to give us 3.15 kg. Okay, now we have found the absolute error. Now we can come up with the relative error. So that means we're going to come here on the middle where there is a purple, where I was working with a purple color. So the absolute error is 3.15 kg, which will be over true value, and the true value is 10 kg. Okay, so now this expression I've written, this expression I've come up with is the relative error. This is, I've come up with now relative error. So that is relative error. So now we're going to use this relative error to find the percentage error. So what we're going to do now here is I'm going to replace relative error by the expression I just circled there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write 3.15 kg over 10 kg multiplied by 100%. Okay, once I've done this, then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the kg signs there, so because we don't need them. So I'm going to divide what is on top and what is down. So as you can see, we've got units there which are kgs, so I'm going to cancel the kg down and the kg up. Then later on, now I'm going to divide 10 and 100. So I'm going to find the common factor of 10 and 100. The common factor of 10 and 100 is 10 itself. So I'm going to say 10 divided by 10 will give us 1. 100 divided by 10 will give us, in fact, 100% divided by 10 will give us 10%. Okay, then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write what I'm remaining with. So I'm remaining with 3.15 kg or 3.15. The kgs have been cancelled out, which will be multiplied by 10%. So when you multiply 3.15 times 10 kg times 10% will give us 31%, 31.5%. When you multiply 3.15 by 10% will give us 31.5%. So this is the percentage errors. The percentage error is 31.5%. Let's go to the next question. So question 13 was, in the diagram below, A, B, C, and D are points on the circumference of a circle center, or DAB, angle DAB is equal to 36 degrees, BC is equal to CD, and EB is a tangent to the circle at B. Okay, that shouldn't be target, but should be a tangent. So the question is, finding A, angle BOD, okay, B, angle BCD, and C, angle CBF. So what we're going to do here is we are going to identify the angle we want to find. That is question A, 13A. So I want to find the angle BOD. So the angle BOD is this angle here. This is the angle I want to calculate for, which is angle BOD. So what is the value of that angle? Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to use the property which is the angle on the circumference is let me say the angle on the center is twice bigger than the angle on the circumference. So what I mean here is this: the size of this angle is half of this angle here. Okay, the size of angle DAB is half of the size of the angle of angle BOD. Okay, so to do that, what we're going to do now is we're going to use that property to find the value of angle BOD. So the value of angle BOD, so we're going to say BOD, angle BOD is equal to 2 multiplied by angle DAB. Okay, so we're going to say angle BOD is equal to 2. Then what's the value of the angle DAB? The value of angle DAB is equal to the value of angle DAB is 36 degrees. So we're going to multiply 2 by 36 degrees. So to find angle BOD, we are going to multiply. So we're going to say angle BOD is equal to 2 times 36 degrees will give us 72 degrees. So the value of this angle here, the one I've put the arc there, is equal to 72 degrees. Okay, so that's the answer, 72 degrees. Okay, then we go to question B, which is find the value of angle BCD. BCD. So the value of angle BCD is, so first of all, we need to identify the angle we want to find. This is the angle we want to find, which is angle BCD. So what we're going to do here is we're going to write in, to find this, we're going to use the property which is these two angles, which is this angle, the one I've circled, and this angle. When you add them, they will give you 180 degrees. So angle DAB and angle BOD are supplementary. Also not BOD, but angle BCD are supplementary angles. They add up to 180 degrees. So for us, what we're going to do now here is we're going to use that property to find the value of that angle. So we're going to say angle DAB plus angle BCD is equal to 180 degrees. Then we're going to say what is the value of angle DAB? Angle DAB is 36 degrees. Okay, so we're going to write 36 degrees plus what is the value of BCD? BCD we don't know, that's what we want to find out. So we're going to say plus BCD, angle BCD plus is equal to 180 degrees. Then once we have done that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put like terms together. Let me just, okay, so we're going to say angle BCD is equal to 180 degrees minus 36 degrees, which will give us angle BCD is equal to 144 degrees. Now that is the value of angle BCD, which is 144 degrees. Okay, once we have found this, now we can go to question C. Okay, so question C, we are asked to find the value of this angle. Okay, so the value of this angle, which is here, as you can see, the one I've shown in light blue, that is the angle I want to find. Now to find this angle, at this stage, it will be very difficult for us to find the angle, or let me say it will be impossible to find the angle unless we find other angles that will help us to find the value of the other angle. Okay, so what we're going to do now here is we're going to first find the angles that will help us. So as you can see, for us to find the value of angle CBF, we are supposed to find first the angle which is angle OBC. Okay, as you know that the line O and the line OB is perpendicular to the line EBF. So which means we need first to find this angle here. I'm not going to dwell so much on perpendicular because that is the last stage I'm going to talk about. So let me just concentrate on this this shape which I've shown here, this quadrilateral. Okay, that is quadrilateral. It has got 4 sides. So this is what we're going to use for us to find the value of angle CBF. So what we're going to do now here, after I've done this, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to find these angles here, the ones I've shown with the yellow arc there. Okay, those 2 angles. Now you should do so know that the line BC is equal to CD, so we can say, we can put the signs there to show that these lines are equal. As you can see, those black key lines which I've put there close the lines BC and CD. Okay, now these 2 lines are equal. That means the angles that are formed at D and B respectively are equal. So we can call these angles as X and that one X. So we should find the value of those 2 angles. Okay, now why we want to find the value of this? We want to use it to find the angle which is angle CBF. So now the property we're going to use for us to find the value of X is angles, the sum of interior angles in quadrilateral is 360 degrees. So when you add all the 4 angles inside quadrilateral, it will give you 360 degrees. So what we're going to do now here is we're going to come up with an expression. Now as you can see, we have said X, the value of angle X and the other X on D is equal. That means we're going to, here is what I'm saying, I'm trying to explain this. The value of this angle here and this angle here are equal. That means we can also write this one in a simpler way, just saying there are 2x there. So we can say 72 plus 144 degrees, 72 degrees plus 144 degrees, then plus, then we combine those 2, there are 2x's, so we're going to write plus 2x is equal to 360 degrees. 360 degrees is the sum of interior angles of quadrilateral. So if you are not conversant with that knowledge of sum of interior angles, please go on our playlist which is called polygons, then watch a video which is entitled sum of interior angles of regular polygon and irregular polygons. Okay, once we have done this, what we need to do now is just to evaluate. We're going to evaluate first this, okay, 72 plus 144. So we are going to evaluate that. So we're going to say 72 plus 144 will give us 216 plus 2x is equal to 360 degrees. So what we're going to do next is we're going to put like terms together. So it's going to be 2x is equal to 360 degrees plus minus, since the 216 is crossing the equal sign, we're going to say minus 216. Then we find the difference of 360 and 216. So we're going to write 2x is equal to the difference of 360 and 216 is 144, which now at this stage we need to find the value of x. So we're going to divide both sides by 2. So we're going to say divide by 2, divide by 2. Okay, so we're going to say 2x divided by 2 will give us x. Then 144 degrees divided by 2 will give us 72 degrees. Okay, so there we can write 72 degrees where we had x, and there on top now I've changed the x on b, as well as I'm going to change x on d. Okay, so those are the values of those angles. So if you try to come here and calculate the interior angles of this quadrilateral, you find that it will be 360 degrees. If you add the 372s and 144, they will give you 360 degrees. Okay, once we have found this, then now we can come to this. Now I want you to concentrate on this area. Okay, so what we're going to do on that area is we're going to now come here and then try to see how we can find the value of angle CBF. So how we're going to do it is, first of all, we are going to use the perpendicular rule, where we say two perpendicular lines where they meet, they form 90 degrees angle. So we're going to say if two lines, like the way I'm drawing there, I hope you are observing what I'm doing there, then I draw this line. That means that one from line EBF to line EBF is perpendicular to line OB. So that means where these two lines are meeting, they are forming 90 degrees angle. Now we have already found the value of angle OBC, but we don't know the value of angle CBF. Now since the two angles they are complementary, since angle OBC and angle CBF are complementary, they add up to 90 degrees, then we're going to use that property of complementary angles. So what we're going to do is we're going to say angle OBC plus angle CBF is equal to OBF. Now OBF, that is 90 degrees, as you can see from the drawing there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to find the value of OBC. We have found that the value of OBC is 72 degrees. Then what is the value of CBF? We haven't found, that's why the one we're investigating. So we're going to say plus angle CBF then is equal to 90 degrees. The value of angle OBF is 90 degrees. Okay, now once we've found that, then we're going to put like terms together. Then we're going to say angle CBF is equal to 90 degrees minus 72 degrees, because the positive 72 is crossing the equal sign, it will become minus 72. Then we are going to have angle CBF is equal to 90 minus 72 will give us 18, which will be 18 degrees. So the value of angle CBF is 18 degrees. So basically this is what we are supposed to do in an exam to find the value of angle CBF. So these are the answers we are supposed to write in the answer spaces on the answer sheet. So if you have got questions, like I said earlier on, you keep on asking the comment section and we'll be very glad to respond to you and help where necessary. With that being said, now we go to the next question. Question 14 A was as follows. The diagram shows two lines L and N that are perpendicular to each other. The equation of the line N is 3x plus 2y is equal to 6. The line L passes through the point 5, 4. Okay, so what you need to do is you take time and study the diagram. Then the question is here down. The question is here down. This is the question, which is find the equation of line L. So we are asked to find the equation for line L. So basically what is here is that we are just given the equation for the line N, which is this equation, which is 3x plus 2y is equal to 6. And line N is the one in green. And we are supposed to find the equation for line L, which is a red line. Okay, so or a lady graph. Okay, so what we need to do now here is we need to first find the gradient of the line L. So to find the gradient of the line L, what we're going to do is we're going to use the equation that is for L. Remember, these two lines are perpendicular. So since the lines are perpendicular, that means we need to find the we can use the line, the green line, to find the gradient of line L. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the equation that is 3x plus 2y is equal to 6. Then what we're going to do here is we're going to make y the subject of the formula. That means we're going to write 2y is equal to 6 minus 3x. Okay, now we need to make y the subject of the formula. That means we're going to divide all these three terms by 2. So we're going to divide 2y by 2, 6 by 2, and 3x by 2. Then once we've done this, that means now we can say 2y divided by 2 will give us y. 6 divided by 2 will give us 3. Negative 3x divided by 2, that will be negative, it's going to be negative 3 over 2x. Okay, now at this stage we can now get the gradient. So the gradient for the first equation is negative 3 over 2. That's a gradient. Now from this gradient, since we are told that the line line L is perpendicular to line N, what we can do now here is we're going to now find the gradient for line L, which is we're going to write gradient 2. We're going to call it gradient 2. Then we're going to write the inverse of that. It's going to be 2 over 3. Okay, so the gradient for the red line is 2 over 3. That's a gradient. Now once we've found the gradient, what we're going to do next is we're going to use this formula for the equation to find the equation of the given line. So we're going to use that. Okay, so let's now start filling in. So we have got y. We're so going to write y is equal to, then we're going to get the gradient. We're going to get gradient 2, which is 2 over 3. We're going to say 2 over 3, then x, then what is the value of C? We do not have the value of C, so what we're going to do is we're going to find the value of C. So I'm going to write this same equation here on the right side in yellow. I don't know if it's orange. In orange, yes. Then once we've done that, then what is the value of y? So we are given the coordinate where the line is passing on one point. We are given here where the line is passing, and you can see also in the statement it's given there. Okay, so those are the two coordinates we're given, so we're going to use those. So what is the value of y in those? It's 4, so we're going to write 4 y is equal to, or 4 is equal to, then the gradient we found is the second gradient, which is 2 over 3. So we're going to say 2 over 3 x. What's the value of x? Is 5. So we're going to say multiply by 5 plus c. We don't know the value of c. But once we've done that, then we're going to evaluate 2 over 3 multiplied by 5, which will give us 4 is equal to 2 times 5 will give us 10, which will be over 3. Okay, then we'll say plus c. Okay, now at this stage we're going to put like terms together, so we're going to write 4 plus, so the 10 over 3 will cross the equal sign and go to the side of 4. That means it's going to be minus 10 over 3, okay, which will be equal to c. Okay, now once we have done this, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to convert 4 to become a fraction. So we're going to have 4 over 1, then 4 over 1, then what we're going to do is we're going to subtract fractions. So I'm sure you know how to subtract fractions. If you don't know, you can go on our playlists. You'll find a topic called fractions. You will learn on how to subtract fractions. So here what we're going to do is we're going to find the lowest common denominator of the lowest common multiple of 1 and 3, which is 3 itself. So we're going to say over 3, then we're going to get 1. We have got the first fraction, which is 4 over 1. So we're going to pick 1. 1 into 3 to go 3 times. So we're going to multiply 3 by 4, the numerator. Then we're going to have minus. Then we're going to say 3, the denominator of 10 over 3. 3 into 3, it will go 1 time. So we're going to multiply 10 by, so we're going to say minus 1 by 10, okay, which is equal to c. Then what we're going to do now, we're going to evaluate that. 3 by 4 will give us 12, which will be 12 minus 1 times 10 will give us 10. So I'm going to write 3 by 4 will give us 12, then minus 1 by 10, it's going to give us 10, which will be over 3, which will be equal to c. Okay, once I've done that, then I'm going to evaluate 2 minus 10 will give us 3. Oh, sorry, not 2, but 12 minus 10 will give us 2, which will be 2 over 3. Okay, then which will be equal to c. So the value of c is 2 over 3. So we go back on the middle, on the paper there where I left the equation halfway. So where the second step there where I wrote y is equal to 2 over 3 x, then we're going to say plus 2 over 3. So this is the equation for that straight line, the L line, the red line. That is the equation for the red line. So you can write that equation on your answer space, or you can go further and simplify this thing, this equation. So what you're going to do is to simplify that one, you're going to multiply every term in that equation by 3. Okay, so we're going to have 3 by y, 3 multiplied by y is equal to 2 over 3 x multiplied by 3 as well, multiplied by 3, then plus 2 over 3 multiplied by 3. Okay, so now let's start evaluating. Let's start from the left side. 3 times y will give us 3y, which will be equal to, then we come here, where we have 2 over 3x multiplied by 3. So the 3 down here will be cancelled out, and the 3 there on top will be cancelled out. Okay, it's on that the 3 there which is down, it's okay. It's supposed to be like that. So what are we remaining with? We're remaining with 2x. So we're going to write 2x. Then we come to the last term, which is 2 over 3 multiplied by 3. So 2 will become 3 will down will be cancelled out, and the 3 on top will be cancelled out, leaving us with the only 2. So it's going to be plus 2. Okay, now that is the equation you can also write. So it's either you write this equation here, or you can also write this equation. Both of these equations are correct. They will definitely going to give you correct answers if you use them. Okay, so basically these are the answers you can write, and these are the answers examiners were expecting, either the one on top there or this one down. Okay, so if you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. Otherwise, let's go to the next question. Question 14b was as follows. The diagram below shows a triangle ABC in which AB is equal to 5 cm and AC is equal to 13 cm. Angle ABC is equal to 90 degrees and BC is produced to D. Okay, the question is find, so the question is here, which is find the value of cosine of angle ACD. Okay, so ask to find the cosine of angle ACD. So before we go ahead to find the cosine, first let's talk about the formula that we can use to find the cosine. So we're going to say cosine for angle ACD is equal to, so what you need to do for you to come up with a correct ratio, what you need to do is first you need to consider this one, which is called SOHCAHTOA. So you need to consider SOHCAHTOA. So is for sin or sine, and ka is for cosine, and to is for tangent. Now, when you look at this formula, we are going to concentrate on this one, the acronym which is in the middle here. Sorry, which is here. Okay, which is ka, which is telling us that cosine, the formula, the ratio for cosine is tangent over it's adjacent to over hypotenuse. So we're going to say the ratio is adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, so once we have come up with this, now we can go on the diagram and identify the angle which we are going to find the cosine for. So we're going to identify the angle, which is this one here. This is the angle. Okay, so this is the angle. So when we look at this angle, when we try to identify the adjacent, the hypotenuse, you'll find that it's very difficult to identify the let me say it's just impossible to find the adjacent and the hypotenuse of this angle, because as you can see, it is an angle which is in the incomplete shape. There is no shape on the other side. So how do we find the cosine for this angle? So what we're going to do is we're going to find the cosine for this angle by using this angle, the inside angle. Okay, so we're going to use the inside angle, which has the lead arc, to find the cosine for the angle which has a green arc. Okay, so how do we do this? So what we're going to do now is we're going to find the cosine for this angle, the inside angle, which has a red arc. So what we're going to do is now the angle I'm talking about. So to find the cosine of this angle, we are going to use this inner angle, okay, to find the hypotenuse of the angle which is outside. So how are we going to find this? We are going to use the same formula, which is cosine of angle ACB, cosine of angle ACB. We can see that that angle is angle ACB, which is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Now, when you look at this angle, which side is adjacent? The side which is adjacent to that angle is this side, which is BC. BC is adjacent to angle ACD. Okay, so this angle, as you can see, we are not given the dimension. The measurement of this length is not given, so we are going to name it X. Okay, which one is hypotenuse? So the hypotenuse of this angle is this one. This is the hypotenuse of this angle. So what we're going to do now here is we are going to find the value of X so that we can be able to find the cosine of angle ACB. So what we will do now is we are going to use the Pythagoras theorem. Now it's going to work because this is a light triangle, so which means the light triangle is, which means that we can use Pythagoras to find the value of X. So we are going to work for X, which is, we're going to write hypotenuse squared is equal to adjacent squared plus opposite squared. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to put the values. So what is the value of hypotenuse? We know that it's 13 centimeter. So it's going to be 13 centimeter squared. What is the value of adjacent? When you look at the adjacent, you find that the value is not given. So we have got X there. So we're going to say is equal to X squared plus, what is the value of opposite? Opposite is 5 centimeter squared. So we're going to say plus 5 centimeter squared. Okay, then we're going to find the value of 13 centimeter squared. So 13 times 13 will be 169 centimeter squared, which is equal to X squared plus 25 centimeter squared. Okay, now once we've done this, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put like terms together. So we're going to have 69 centimeter squared, then 25 centimeter squared will close the equal sign and become minus. So it's going to be minus. It shouldn't be 12 centimeter, it should be 25 centimeter squared. Okay, then what we're going to do now here is, which is equal to X squared. Okay, X squared. So here, I don't know what happened when I was preparing to write 12 centimeter. It should be 25 centimeter squared. So I'm going to change it later on. So I'm going to say then it's going to be 169 minus 25 centimeter squared is equal to X squared. So when we subtract 169 minus 25 centimeter squared, will give us 144 centimeter squared, which is equal to X squared. Okay, now at this stage, what we're going to do is we're going to find the square root of these 144 centimeter squared and X squared. So I'm going to find the square root. So the square root of 144 centimeter squared is 12, which is equal to X squared. Oh, sorry, the square root of X squared is X. So the value of X is 12 centimeter. Okay, so now that is the value of X, which is 12 centimeter. So what we're going to do now here is we are going to now find the cosine of angle ACB. So the cosine of angle ACB is, so what is the adjacent? So we're going to say equal to, what is the adjacent of angle ACB? The adjacent is 12 centimeter, which is going to write 12 there, which will be over, then what is the hypotenuse is 13. Now 13 over 12 is the cosine of angle ACD. Okay, so now we need to find the cosine for angle ACD. We have found the cosine for angle ACB. Now we need to find the hypotenuse for, we need to find the cosine for angle ACD. So we're going to go back where the cosine for angle ACD is. So we're going to write equal to. So what happens, the outer angle of the given angle, the cosine of the outer angle of the inner angle, the cosine we find, we're going to write it in a negative form or in an opposite form. So if we can say, yeah, if like we can say it's we write the additive inverse of the given cosine. So like here we have gotten 12 over 13, so we can now come up with negative 12 over 13. So that is the cosine of angle ACD. Okay, if you have got questions, you can ask in the comments section. Otherwise, that is the answer we are supposed to write, which is negative 12 over 13. Oh, yes. So here where I wrote 12 minus 12, here it was a mistake. It's not supposed to be minus 12, but it should be minus 25. So that's how it should be. Otherwise, the answer, which is 12 centimeter is equal to x, is correct. I only just made a mistake on writing. Instead of writing 25, I wrote 12. So that's how it should be. Okay, so question 15 was as follows. Given that z varies directly, remember in the question paper there is no word directly, so I just thought maybe it was just skipped. It should be direct. So the question is, given that z varies directly as x and inversely as square of y, and that z is equal to 3 when x is equal to 8 and y is equal to 4. Find the a value of k, the constant variation. Okay, so what we need to do first, we need to come up with a formula. So since we're told z varies direct, so we're going to write z is equal to it varies direct to x, so it's going to be k, which is a constant variation, and x, so it varies like that, x. Then we say over, inversely we're going to say over y squared. Okay, so basically that's the formula we're going to be using. So now once we have done this, then we can find the value of the constant variation, which is k. So we're going to say what is the value of z is 3 from the statement we are told, and that z is equal to 3. So we're going to write 3, which is equal to k. Then what's the value of x? We are told it's 8. So we say k multiplied by 8 over, then value of y is 4. So we're going to say 4 squared. Okay. So what we're going to do now, we're going to write 3 is equal to k times 8 will give us 8k. Then over 4 by 4 give us 16. Then here, what we're going to do now, we're going to simplify the expression. As you can see, 8 and 16, they have a common factor. There is common factor, which is 8 itself. So we're going to say 8 into 8, it's 1. 8 into 16, it's 2. Then we're going to cross multiply. Okay. So we take it that down. We have got 1 there. Down on 3, we have got 1. So we can say k multiplied by 1 will give us k. Then 3 by 2 will give us 6. Okay, will give us 6, and 6 is the value of k. So the value of k is 6. Okay, let's go to question B. Okay, so in case you are wondering where is question B, it's C. Okay, so we are told to find the value of z. So question B is find the value of z when x is equal to 18 and y is equal to 3. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the same formula, which is the one we found, we came up with earlier. Which is this one. Okay, we're going to use that formula again. So we're going to write z is equal to kx over y squared. Then we want to find the value of z, so we're going to say z is equal to k. We found that k is 6, is equal to 6, so we're going to write 6 multiplied by what is the value of x from the statement is 18, so 6 multiplied by 18 over what is the value of y, we are told is 3, so we're going to say 3 squared. Okay, at this stage I would urge you not to multiply 6 by 18 because I can see down here we have got 3 squared, which will give us 9. So 9 can be used to simplify 9 and 18. So we're going to say z is equal to 6 multiplied by 18 over 9. Then we divide 9 and 18 by their lowest, by their highest common factor. So what is the highest common factor of 18 and 9? It's 9 itself. So we say 9 into 9, it's 1. 9 into 18, it's 2. Then I'm going to write what is remaining. So I'm remaining there with z, which is equal to 6 multiplied by 2. Then we say z is equal to 6 by 2 will give us 12. So the value of z is 12 when x is equal to 18. Okay, question 16a was as follows. Find, open bracket, 10x raised to the power of 4 minus 4x plus 3 over x squared, close bracket, dx. Okay, so this question is coming from calculus and so on, integration. So we asked to integrate this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to rewrite the same statement here down. Okay, so to do that, we're going to write first, I'm going to focus on this fraction here. I'm going to use the laws of indices to raise to change that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 10 minus 10x raised to the power of 4 minus 4x, then it's going to be plus 3x. Now since I've converted to that, then I'm going to raise this to the power of negative 2, which will be plus c, a constant. Okay, once I've done that, then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 to the powers, and then I'm going to write like this, 10 over 10x raised to the power of, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 to 4, which is the index. So I'm going to write 10 x raised to the power of 5 plus, and now we have got negative 4 there. Okay, first of all, over 5. Okay, I'm going to divide that over 5. Then we have got negative 4 there, which is raised, which has no power. So when a number has no power, that means it is raised to the power of 1. So I'm going to add 1 to 1, which will give me 2. So negative 4x will be raised to the power of 2, which will be over 2. Then we come to 3x. So we have got 3x plus 3x. Now 3x is raised to the power of negative 2. Then when I add 1 to negative 2, it's going to give me negative 1. So 3x will be raised to the power of negative 1 over 1 over negative 1. So 3x will be raised to the power of negative 1, which will be divided by negative 1, plus c. Okay, once I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide. So first I'm going to focus on this term here. Okay, I'm going to divide 10x raised to the power of 5 divided by 5, which will give me 10x raised to the power of 5 divided by 5 will give me 2x raised to the power of 5. Then I will come to this term here. Okay, then I'm going to say negative 4x squared divided by 2 will give me negative 2x squared. Okay, then I'm going to come on this term, which is this one here, where I've got positive 3x raised to the power of negative 1 divided by negative 1. Okay, so when we divide 3x by negative 1, it's going to give us negative 3x raised to the power of negative 1, then plus c. So this is the answer examiners expected you to write in the answer space, which is 2x raised to the power of 5 minus 2x raised to the power of 2 minus 3x raised to the power of negative 1 plus c. Okay, so if you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. Otherwise, let's go to the next question. Question 16b was the diagram in the answer space below, in the answer space, shows an incomplete flowchart to calculate the area of a rectangle with length L and breadth B. Complete the flowchart by filling in the blank symbols with the appropriate statements. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to fill in this. So what we need to do from start, we need to, when we start, we come to you enter LB. Okay, you enter length and breadth. You enter length and breadth. Then afterwards, then you come and enter the formula, which is the formula for area is A equals to L times B. So you enter the way it is. Okay, then the next thing what will happen is you can print out the area. Okay, so basically this is how you do, and this is how you were supposed to answer the question, or this is how you are supposed to complete the flowchart. Okay, question 17a was as follows: describe fully the symmetry of the diagram below, given that OA and OB are two identical arms of windmill and angle AOB is equal to 90 degrees. Okay, so we want to describe this. So when you get this shape and rotate it, for it to come to the same position, the way for it to come and sit the way it's seated, whereby the other arm is pointing up and the flag is on the left side, and the other arm is lying down, and then the flag is on top of the line. For it to come to this position, you need to rotate this diagram 360 degrees. That means in 360 degrees, it will come to this position only once. Therefore, we can describe it has the order of rotation symmetry, which is 1. So its order of rotation symmetry is 1. Okay, so the order of its rotation symmetry is 1. Okay, if you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. Otherwise, I can also use you to try to rotate it, and this is what you're going to find out. This is what I found out. Okay, we go to the next question. Question 17b was triangle ABC is mapped onto triangle A1, B1, C1 by a translation represented by 3, -3. on the diagram in the answer space, draw triangle A1, B1, C1. Okay, so what is important in this question that will really help us to come up with the triangle that is mapped, we are going to use this okay, these coordinates which are given, which is 3, -3. Okay, so what we're going to do now is what it means here is this. This 3 is telling us that each point on the y-axis, it should move 3 steps going on the right side, or it should be going on the positive side. Okay, and then this 3, which is down here, this one is telling us that on the y-axis we should go 3 steps downwards, or on the negative side. Okay, so what we're going to do now here is this. I'm going to start with the point A. So the point A, we are going to put a green point there. I'm sure you're able to see the green point here. Okay, that green point, which is near A there, is going to move 3 steps on the right side and 3 steps going on downside, which is on y-axis going to the negative side. Okay, so which means it's going to move 3 steps going to the right. Now let it move. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. Now the point has moved 3 steps. Now it will start going 3 steps downwards. So it's going to move 1, 2, 3. Now this is the point where it has reached. It has moved 3 steps on the right side and 3 steps downwards. So we're going to say this point is going to be called A1. Okay, that is A1. Then we come to point which is B. So I'm going to put a green point as well on B there. Then it's going to move the same steps, right? That is 3 on the right and 3 downwards. So we're going to say 1, 2, 3. Then it's going to move 3 steps downwards. Now remember, we have got the green point there. So for you not to get confused, I'm going to put the point beside the point for A1. So we're going to say 1, 2, 3. So this point we're also going to call it B1. Okay, now we have mapped point A to point A1 and point B to point B1. Now we are remaining with the point C. So we're going to put a point there. Then it's going to move 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. Then it will move again 3 steps going downward. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. Okay, now that is point C1. Okay, now we have moved all the points following the translation represented by that 3, -3. So now we can join these points. Okay, once we have done that, then that means now we have mapped the triangle ABC to triangle A1, B1, C1. Now once I've done that, means that is the correct answer. So on the answer sheet, this is what examiners wanted you to do. Okay, so and the triangle for A1, B1 and C1 was supposed to be drawn on that point. If you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. Otherwise, let's go to the next question. Okay, so question 18 was as follows. In the diagram below, A, B, and C are points on a level ground. The bearing of B from A is 0.32 degrees. Angle ACB is equal to 100 degrees, and AC is equal to BC. Find the bearing of A from C, B, C from B. Okay, so those are the bearing we need to find. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to expand it and also write so as you can see, we are supposed to draw a north line on C to help us to find the bearing of A from C, as well as we are supposed to write a north line, imaginary north line on B to help us to find the bearing of C from B. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand and draw the lines. Yes, like that. Okay. Once I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is now, as you can see, I've drawn the lines. Then we need to identify the bearing we want to find. So the bearing we want to find is this one. Okay, so this is the bearing we need to find. Okay. Now it is easier to find the bearing which is A from C. Okay, which is A from C. Okay, so the problem which is here is there is a certain angle that we don't know its value. So we don't know the value of this angle here. Okay, there, I don't know if you can see it here, this angle here, which is the angle from the angle which we can call B to angle BC north. Okay, so angle BCN. Okay, so that angle we don't know its value, so it will be very difficult for us to find the value of, or the bearing of A from C. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to first find the value of angle BCN. Okay, BCN. So to find this angle, what we're going to do is first we're going to look at this entire diagram. We see where there is a loophole or a weakness for us to start from. So now when you look at this diagram, you notice there is a triangle, which is this one. This is a triangle. Okay, this is the triangle. Okay, now when you look at this triangle, you notice that this line is equal to this line. Okay, so that means this is isosceles triangle. So since it's isosceles triangle, that means the angles, which is the angles BAC and angle ABC, are equal. So this angle, the ones I've marked by black mark, I hope you can see it, and this angle, these two angles are equal. So when we know that the sum of interior angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. Now, since we're given 100 degrees, which is at the degree, which is the angle which is at C, is equal to 100 degrees, then we can easily find the angles, which is angle BAC and angle ABC. We can find them. So what we can do is just we subtract 100 from 180 degrees. We subtract 100 from 180 degrees, which will leave us with 80. Now 80, since these two angles are equal, we divide 80 by 2, which will going to give us 40 degrees here and there, 40 degrees. Okay, I hope you have followed me very well. Okay, so that is the first thing we need to do. Okay, and you also in an exam, you need to do this first. Even you can do it even before you draw the lines. Okay, so once you have done this, the next thing we're going to do is once we have found the value of the angles, then what we are going to do next is we are going to now to find the angles. So we're going to go further and find the angles. Now when you look at this, we need to find the angle which is BCN. Now we don't know what the value of angle BCN. Therefore, we are going to consider this line and this line. These are two parallel lines. And then this line here, which is line AB, is a transversal. So when you treat line AB as a transversal, that means this angle here, 32 degrees, is equal to this angle, which is where we can see 40 here, this angle, it's equal. Okay, so we're saying this 32-degree angle and this angle from line AB to that red line, they are equal. That means that angle is also 32 degrees. Now when you look at the angle from line AB to line BC is equal to 40 degrees. That means when we subtract 32 from 40 degrees, what remains there, that is the value of angle CB and this line which comes here on the red line here. Okay, so that means what I'm saying is now is what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 40 minus 32, which is going to give us 8 degrees. So I'm talking about this angle here. Okay, I hope you're able to see the angle that I'm talking about. That's what the angle I'm talking about. So I'm saying this angle here and this angle, they are equal. Then the difference is the measure of that angle, which I have marked by blue ink. Okay, so what we're going to do now, is we're going to find the difference of 40 and 32, which will give us 8 degrees. So 8 degrees is the value of the angle which I've labeled in blue there. Okay, now if that angle is equal to 8 degrees, then we can now use that property by using, when we consider this line and this line as parallel lines. Okay, these two red lines, we consider them as parallel lines, and the line BC as a transversal line. That will help us to determine the value of this angle here. Okay, now what I'm trying to say is that these two angles which are in blue, when you consider these lines, which is the line which is on the north line which is on C and the north line which is on B, they are parallel lines, and line BC is a transversal line. That means these angles I have marked in blue are alternate angles and they are equal. That means this angle is also 8 degrees. Okay, now I hope you have followed me on how we have come up to this where I've gotten 8 degrees, the one I've put here. If you haven't seen the 8 degrees I've written, it's here. Okay, they are in the middle, that is 8 degrees. Okay, that's the value of that angle. Now if that is the value of that angle, now it can be easier for us to find the bearing of A from C. Okay, the one which is marked in purple. So what we can do now, we can add, because we can add 100 degrees plus 8 degrees, that will give us 180 degrees. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use a property which is called angle at a point add up to 360 degrees. So we're going to subtract 108 degrees from 360 degrees. So we're going to write it like this. 360 degrees minus 108 degrees. So if you are getting confused on where we're getting 108 degrees, is we're getting from, so the angle is starting from here on the red line up to on the black line here. Okay, from the red line, which is the line which is NC, to the line which is AC. So that is the angle which is giving us 108. Then we're going to, now what we're going to do now, we're going to subtract 108 from 360 degrees, which will give us 200, which will give us 252 degrees. 252 degrees. So this is the bearing. So since it's a bearing, we can read it as 252 degrees. 252 degrees. Okay, if you have got questions, I'll be glad to respond in the comment section. Okay, now we come to question B. Okay, so question B, we asked to find the bearing which is C from B. So the bearing we want to find is okay, let me just move that. So the bearing we're supposed to find is this one here. Okay, this is the bearing we want to find, the one which is marked in blue. In case you're wondering, it's this bearing we want to find, the one I've marked in blue there, light blue ink. That's the bearing we want to find. Okay, so now this is the bearing we want to find. As you can see now, as well as here, you can see that the line, the right blue line, the arc there is not reaching the red line here for it to be 180 degrees. When you look at it, when you draw this line, the green line, this is 180 degrees. It's a full straight line now. Okay, but when you look at the light blue line inside, it's not reaching the red line to make it 180. So there is a difference that the angle in blue is smaller than the one which is in crazy green. Okay, so since that is the scenario, so what do we do? So we need to identify the difference, the angle that is making it, that is a difference in these two angles. So you see that the angle which is a difference in these two angles is this one I've labeled in pink. I'm sure you are able to see where I'm writing, where I've circled there. So the angle which is a difference is this one here. This is the angle which is a difference of two angles, the one which is in pink. Okay, so that's a difference. So that means that angle, we need to subtract that angle from 180 to get the value of this angle in the right blue. So to do that, what we're going to do is, okay, let me do this. Okay, what we're going to do here is, now we're going to write 180 degrees. Then what is the value of that angle which you have drawn in pink? It's 8 degrees. So we're going to say 180 degrees minus 008 degrees. Don't worry, don't be bothered with those two zeros. They are just the same as 8 degrees. They do not change any value of the degree there. Okay, so 180 degrees minus 8 will give us 172 degrees. So 172 degrees is the value of the bearing from C to, it's the value of the bearing of C from B. Okay, you see 72 degrees. That's the bearing of that that is C from B. Okay, so if you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. Otherwise, this is how you deal with this question. And you can also check on our videos, the playlist. We have dealt with this kind of questions so many times. So just go, since this is G.C.E. paper 1 2021, go to other paper 1 playlists. You see a lot of videos where we talked about this. Okay, you can also check on grade 9 work. There is a lot of bearing work from there, so you can check on those videos. Otherwise, let's go to the next question. So question 19 was, the function f and g are defined by f of x is equal to x minus 3 over 4 and g of x is equal to is equal to 2x plus 1. Find the inverse of x, the inverse of f of x, b fgx, c fg negative 3. So what we're going to do first, we're going to find the inverse of f of x. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this formula, the one given in the statement. Okay, the one given in the statement, which is this one. Okay, that's the one we're going to use. So what we're going to do now is we are going to rewrite it down here. Okay, then what we're going to do is, now we're going to rewrite this expression. I'm sure by now you know that when we put f of x, it's just the same as writing y. We can put any other letter. So instead of writing y, we just put f of x. So we can put now y. We're going to say y is equal to x minus 3 over 4. Then what we're going to do now here is we're going to multiply both sides by 4, because I want to get rid of the 4, which is the denominator. So I'm going to multiply y by 4 and this side by 4. So 4 by y will give us 4y, which will be equal to, then we cancel 4 there on top, sorry, 4 down there and 4 on top, leaving us with x minus 3, which is going to be 4y is equal to x minus 3. Now here at this point we want to make, what we're going to do, we're going to make x the subject of the formula. So that means we're going to write 4y minus, so since the negative 3 will cross the equal sign, it will become positive 3, so it's going to be plus 3, which will be over, or which will be equal to x. Okay, which will be equal to x. Now we have come up with this expression. So for us to come up with the inverse of f of x, what we're going to do now, where there is y, we're going to put x. So we're going to write something like 4. So where there is y, we're going to put x, which will be plus 3. Now this is the inverse of f of x. Okay, that is the inverse of f of x. Now we can go to question B, which is fgx. So we want to find the formula of fgx. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to write this, then we're going to write where there is x, we're going to put in 2x plus 1. Okay, so we're going to get this, we're going to replace x by that which I've circled. So the x I'm talking about is the one which is here, the one I've circled there. That's the x we're going to replace by 2x plus 1. So what we're going to do now here is we're going to write 2x plus 1, then minus 3. Minus 3, negative 3 is the same negative 3 which is in the question. Okay, then we say over 4. Okay, then the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to write fgx. Okay, so I'm going to write fgx. So even if I have, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write 2x. Okay, I'm going to write 2x, then I'm going to simplify first this 1 minus 3. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to simplify 1 minus 3. So positive 1 minus 3 will give us negative 2. Then we'll say over 4. Then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to factorize the numbers that are on top. So I'm going to factorize this. Why? Because I want to divide by I want to simplify the equation. So first I'm going to factorize it. Okay, so in other ways you can also do this. You can find a number that can go into 2x and into negative 2 and into 4. So you can find a number that can go into 3 numbers: 2x, negative 2 and 4. Okay, then you can divide those numbers by the same number you have found. So in case here you can use 2, it can go into all the 3 numbers. Okay, 2 can go into all the 3 numbers, but the other way is you just factorize it. So I'm going to factorize. So what number can go into 2x and negative 2? It's 2. So I'm going to say 2, then 2 into 2x will give us x. 2 into negative 2, it will give us negative 1, which will be over 4. Okay, now at this stage I'm going to divide the 2 outside the bracket by, I'm going to divide the 2. I'm going to find a number that can go into 2, which is outside the brackets, and 4, which is a denominator. So the number that can go into 2 and 4, the denominator is 2. So I can say 2 into 2, it's 1. 2 into 4, it will be 2. Okay, now at this stage I'm going to write what is remaining. So even if I distribute 1 to the terms inside the brackets, they will never change their value. They will be the same. So more or less like 1 multiplied by x will be x, 1 multiplied by -1 it will be -1. So we're going to have x minus 1, which will be over 2. Okay, so this is the value of, or this is the formula of fgx. So we can say fgx is equal to x minus 1 over 2. Okay, now once I've found this, then we can go to question C, which is asking us to find the value of fg -3. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this formula, the same formula I'm just from finding in question B. So this is the formula I'm going to use. Okay, so I'm going to use that formula. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say fgx is equal to x minus 2 over 4. Okay, fgx is equal to x minus 1 over 2. So what I'm going to do now here is I'm going to put where there is, so I'm going to, where there is x, I'll put -3. So I'm going to have fg -3 is equal to, so there is x, so we're going to put -3 there. Then we are going also to, okay, sorry, I made a mistake there, I put 2, it should be 1. So what has happened here is a mistake. It's not supposed to be -2, but it should be -1. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say -1 there, and here down I'm going to say -3 minus 1 over 2. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to evaluate -3 minus 1 will give us -4, which will be over 2. Then -4 divided by 2 will give us -2. So -2 is the answer there. So basically these answers down here, these are the answers you are supposed to write on the answer spaces. So 4x plus 3 for the first one, which is question A, and fgx is equal to x minus 1 over 2 for the answer on B, and -2 for the answer on C. Okay, so basically those were the answers we are supposed to write. If you have questions, you can ask in the comment section, and if you haven't understood well, you can try to watch also other videos. There are other videos of the same kind. We have answered questions of the same kind, so please you can check on other videos. Try to go on the playlist so that those which have got years like mathematics paper 2 2020, mathematics paper 1, just like that, go there in those playlists, you'll find such kind of questions. And if you have got a question you need to ask, please don't forget to write it in the comment section. We'll really appreciate to hear from you, and we'll be very glad to help you. Okay, if there are no questions, we can go to the next question. Otherwise, that's all I had to present to you on this question. Okay, so question 20A was as follows. The points P and Q have coordinates 2,6 and -3,6 respectively. Find the distance between P and Q. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use coordinates to find the distance of 2 points. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use this formula. This is the formula we use, which is distance of line PQ is equal to square root, then we have x2 minus x1 close bracket plus y2 minus y1 close bracket. Okay, then we raise all the numbers by the power of 2. Okay, so now once I've done this formula, then what we're going to do next is now we're going to replace the values of x2, x1, y2 and y1. So let's start by replacing the value of x2. So to do that, we're going to concentrate on these coordinates. These are the coordinates for xy and x2 and y2. Okay, so what is the value of x2? So the value of x2 in there is -3. So we're going to have -3, then minus, what is the value of y? So the value of y is here. y1 is here. So the value of y1 is 2. So we're going to have -2, which is raised to the power of 2. Okay, then we're going to say plus, what is the value of y2? y2 is equal to -6. So we're going to say plus -6 minus, then y1 is 6. So it's going to be -6, which is raised to the power of 2. Okay, then once we've done this, we're going to evaluate what is in the brackets. So when we say we focus on this one, so we are going to say square root, yes, then -3 minus 2 give us -5, which will be raised to the power of 2 plus 12. So we have -6 minus 6 will give us -12, which will be raised to the power of 2. Once we've done that, then we're going to find the squares of those numbers. So the square of -5 is 25, then plus the square root of -12 is 144. Okay, then we're going to add that 25 plus 44. So we're going to say square root 25 plus 44 give us 169. Then we find the square root of 169, which is 13. So the value of, or the distance between P and Q is 13 units. Okay, if you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. Otherwise, you are supposed to write 13 on the answer space on question 20A. If you have got questions, please, you can ask in the comment section. Otherwise, let's go to next question. Okay, so question 20B was as follows. The area of the face of cubes A and B are 9 cm squared and 25 cm squared respectively. Find the ratio of their volume. Okay, so we need to find the ratio of their volume. What we are given here is the ratio of their area. What we are given there is the ratio of their area. So if this is the ratio of their area, 9 cm squared and 25 cm squared, therefore we need to use this to come up with the ratio of their volume. So for us to do that, what we need to do is first we need to write the ratio of their areas. So we are told that their areas at 9 cm squared and 25 cm squared. Then what we're going to do is we're going to write them as ratios like this. Now what we'll do here now is we're going to reduce them to their lowest term. Now to do that, we know that these are areas. That means they have been multiplied by 2 dimensions. So to find the value of 1 dimension, we are going to find the square root of each. As you can see, these are square numbers, so we're going to find the square root of each, which is we're going to write like that. So what is the square root of 9? Is 3. The square root of 25 is 5. So we're going to write the ratio like this, 3 to 5. Okay, now this is the basic dimensions of these cubes. Okay, so the cube with 9 cm squared has got the dimension of 3 cm, and the cube with 25 cm squared has the dimension of 5 cm. Now once we've found this, then we can say now we can go ahead and find the ratio in volume. So what we're going to do is we are going to get this basic ratio, then we're going to say 3 to 5. Then what we're going to do now is we're going to raise these numbers to the power of 3. Then we're going to expand that. So we're going to expand them like that. So 3 will be multiplied by itself 3 times, and 5 will be multiplied by itself 3 times. Then we're going to say 3 by 3 will give us 27. 3 by 3 will give us 9. 9 times 3 will give us 27. 5 by 5 will give us 25. 25 by 5 will give us 125. And this is now the ratio in volume. So the ratio in volume of these cubes is 27 to 125. Question 21 was as follows. Write the 4 inequalities that define the unshaded region R on the diagram below. So we are supposed to define or write the inequalities that would define the unshaded area. So if you're wondering which area is not shaded, so on this diagram the unshaded area is this one. Okay, so this is unshaded area, which is denoted by R. So this is the inequalities we want to define that will describe the unshaded area, the one of circled there inside, which is denoted by the letter R. So what we're going to do, now is I'm going to name each line by the letters. So the first one will be A, then B, then the next one I'm going to skip this dotted line. Instead, I'm going to write C there on top and D down here. The reason I've written like this because I know this line D will involve a bit of some work. So I want to do a lot of work at the end. And when you look at A, B, C, they are similar. That's why I want them to be dealt with at the same time, okay, because they have the similar idea. Okay, so now let's start with the line A. So line A is crossing the x-axis on point 1. So let me put the dot there. Okay, that is 1 there. That's the point where line A is crossing. So with that, when you look at line A, you see that the shaded part is on the left side, which means that the shaded part is less than the unshaded part. So R is greater than the shaded part of the line A. So we can write the inequality as A, which we can say x is greater than or equal to 1. X is greater than or equal to 1, because the unshaded part has got larger numbers on the x-axis, has got larger numbers or equal to 1. Okay, so that's how we can define the line A. Okay, we come to the line B. So line B is here and the dot is on this point, which is 5. I'm putting dots because the numbers 5s are not on the exact point. Okay, so that is 5. So how can we describe the line B? So we can describe line B as you can see, line B, the shaded part is on the right side, which means the line B is crossing the x-axis and the shaded part is on the right side. That means the shaded part is greater than the unshaded part. So we're saying the shaded part is greater than R. So what we're going to do is we're going to define this as the shaded area, the unshaded area, which is presented by x. So we can say x is less than or equal to 5. X is less than or equal to 5. So the unshaded part is less than the shaded part when we consider the line B. Okay, now we can go to line C. Please, if you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. If you need clarification, I'm going to clarify on any question you're going to ask, so you can ask in the comment section. Let's come to line C. So when you look at line C, the unshaded part is down and the line C is crossing the y-axis, which is at this point, which is 4. Okay, the point there is 4. So since the line C is crossing the y-axis on point 4, that means the shaded part is also on top of the unshaded part, which is R. That means the unshaded part is less than 4 or is less than 4 or equal to 4. Therefore, we can come up with an inequality which is y is less than or equal to 4. Y is less than or equal to 4. That's the inequality. Okay, that's the third inequality. Now let's come to the last one, which is D. Okay, the line D is crossing the x-axis as well as the y-axis. So it is crossing the y-axis on 3 and the x-axis on 5. So these are the 2 points where this line is crossing the x-axis and the y-axis respectively. So what we can say now is, first we are going to come up with the coordinates for both points where this line is crossing the x and y axis. Okay, let's start with a point where this line is crossing the y axis. The coordinates for points where this is crossing the x axis is 0, 3. Okay, so where it's crossing the y axis, it's meeting the y-axis where the x-axis is reading 0 and the y-axis is reading 3. When you come down here, where this line is crossing the x-axis, where it is also crossing the B line, you find that it is crossing the point where I'm saying we are now is here. Okay, here we have already found the coordinates. Now we are here down, so we are saying this line is crossing the x-axis at the point where this line is crossing the x-axis has the coordinates which are 5, 0. Okay, so these are the coordinates. Now once we found the coordinates, as we can see, this line is crossing the x-axis and the y-axis, so that means it's going to have a lot of work. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come up with the formula we use to find the equation of the line. So the formula we use to find the equation of the line is this one, which is y is equal to mx plus c. So m is the gradient, y is the reading on the y-axis, x is the reading on the x-axis, and then plus C. C is the y-intercept, where the graph is crossing the y-axis. Okay, that is C, which is a constant. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to replace them with the values. So we're going to write y is equal to, what is the gradient? From the graph, we cannot tell the gradient. So what are we going to do? Because we are not able to get the gradient from the graph. So what we're going to do, we're going to use the same equation, which is y. We're going to use the equation we used to find the gradient, which is m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, once we have found this, now we need to identify which one is x1 and which one is x2 and which one is y2 and which one is y1. Okay, so what we're going to do is now we're going to identify first for y2. So to get y2, we are going to come here on these coordinates. That's why we're going to get y2. So where we have got the coordinates which is 5, 0. So the value of y there is 0. Okay, the value of y is 0. The reading of y is 0. So what we're going to do now, we're going to write 0, then minus, where is y1? We're getting y1 here. Okay, so y1, the reading on y1 on those coordinates, I'm sure you're able to see these coordinates I wrote, which is 0, 3. The reading of y there is 3. So what we're going to do now here is going to write minus 3, which will be over. Now we come to x2, which one is as the reading of x2. So we're going to come here again we look what is the reading of x in that coordinate. We have learned that the reading of x is 5. So that means we're going to write 5, then 5 minus x1. So what is the value of x1? So again, we're going to go to these coordinates here. Okay, what's the reading of x in those coordinates, which is 3, which is 0, 3. The reading of x on those coordinates is 0. So we're going to write 5 minus 0. Okay, then let's work out that 0 minus 3 will give us negative 3. Then 5 minus 0 will give us 5. So we're going to have negative 3 over 5. That will be the gradient. So the gradient is negative 3 over 5. So we go there on the middle. We come back here on the middle here. We complete this now equation, because remember we want to come up with the equation that will define this straight line. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go there. So what we're going to do now here is we're going to write where there is m, we're going to put negative 3 over 5. Okay, so we're going to write negative 3 over 5, then negative 3 over 5, then we write negative 3 over 5x, then plus the constant or the y-intercept. So where are we going to get the y-intercept? So the y-intercept will be gotten on this, from this area. Okay, will be gotten from the area that is where this line is crossing the y-axis. That's why we're going to get the y-intercept. So the y-intercept, when you look at that, is reading that it's 3. I'm sure you are clear, because we are talking about this chord here. That point, that is 3. That is the y-intercept. That is where this line is crossing the y-axis. So that is y-intercept. So we're going to say y is equal to negative 3 over 5x plus, now the y-intercept we found that is 3. So we're going to say plus 3. Okay, now that is, now we have come up with the equation that defines this line. Okay, now we need to change this equation to become the inequality. So what we're going to do now, we're going to put the greater or less than sign. So now when we look at this line, the unshaded part is on top. That means the line is going to be, the unshaded part will be greater. So we are going, y is going to be greater than, so we're going to say y is greater than negative 2, also negative 3 over 5x plus 3. So that is the equation. Now what we have come up with here, what we have come up with here is an equation. Okay, that is an equation. Now once we have come up with that an equation, then we can now come on where we are writing answers. We can now write D, we can say D is y is greater than negative 3 over 5x plus 3. That is the fourth inequality. So if you have got questions, like I said earlier on, you can ask in the comment section, but otherwise that is how you find the inequalities that define unshaded area, like the one in the diagram. So if you have got questions, ask in the comment section. Otherwise, let's go to the next question. Question 22a was as follows. The components of the vector AO and OB are 2, 3 and 4, 2 respectively. Write AB as a column vector. So what we're going to do here is we're going to write an expression that will help us to come up with BA as a column vector. Okay, so once we have done this, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to open bracket. Okay, then now let's focus on this column vector, which is B. Okay, the column vector B, which has got OB, the column vector which has got O, this, the one I've circled there. Okay, let's see, concentrate on this column vector, the one I've circled there, which is 4, 2. Now that is OB. That's OB. Now OB is written as, in this expression is written as BO. That means 4, 2 will change their signs and become negative 4 to be negative 4 and negative 2, close bracket, then plus OA. OA is just the same, so we're going to write plus. Now OA is CA. Okay, that's OA. So what we're going to do now is we're going to write plus 3, 2. Okay, then once we've done this, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add them. So before I add, I'm going to write B. Okay, BA is equal to, then open bracket, negative 4 plus 2 will give us negative 2. Negative 2 plus 3 will give us 1, which will be, that is the column vector of BA, which is negative 2, 1. Okay, now I've written BA as a column vector. Okay, now we can go to the next question. Question 22b was as follows. The diagram below shows a sketch of the graph of y is equal to 5 minus 4x minus x squared. And the questions are: find 1, coordinates of the points A and B. 2, find maximum value of y. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to start with the question 1, which is to find the coordinates of the points A and B. So what we're going to use the equation in the question, which describes the graph, which is this equation, which is y is equal to 5 minus 4x minus 5x squared, minus x squared. So what we're going to do now here is we are going to write this equation here. Okay, now once we've written this equation, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change it to quadratic equation, which is going to be like this one: 5 minus 4x minus x squared is equal to 0. Then what we're going to do next now is we're going to express negative 4x into two numbers that can give us a product of 5x and the sum of negative 4. Okay, that can give us the product of negative 5x and the sum of negative 4x. So we're going to write 5, then 4 we're expressing it into two numbers, which I just said earlier on. So the numbers that we can multiply to get negative 5x squared are negative 5 and positive 1. And if you add these, they are going to give us negative 4. So we're going to have negative 5x plus 1x is equal or minus x squared is equal to 0. Okay, now once I've done this, I'm going to put them in groups. So 5 and excuse me, 5 minus negative x, 5 minus negative 5x will form one group, and x minus x squared will form another group. So now I'm going to factorize this. So I'm going to look for a number that can go into 5 and also into negative 5x. Okay, so the number that can go into 5 and negative 5x is 5 itself. So 5 divided by 5 will give us 1. 5x, negative 5x divided by 5 will give us negative 1. Or negative x, sorry, give us negative x. Then once we have done this, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to find the factors of, or the factor that can go into x and x squared. That factor is x. So we're going to write x, then x into x divided by x will give us 1. Then negative x squared divided by x will give us negative x. Okay, and we're going to close bracket. Now, as you can see, we have come up with the numbers in brackets which are the same. We have got minus x, we have got my 1 minus x, as well as in the other brackets we have got 1 minus x. Now once we have done this, then the thing we're going to do now here is I'm going to get 5 and positive x. We'll put them in one bracket, and then we're going to pick one of those two brackets. So we're going to have 5, okay, I forgot to write which is equal to 0. Then we're going to have 5 plus x, the x which is in between the brackets, which is plus x, is equal to, okay, then we're going to pick one of these brackets, the expression in brackets. So these, I'm going to pick one of these. Okay, so I'm just going to pick on one of those. It doesn't matter which one I pick. So now I'm going to say, I'm going to multiply 5 plus x multiplied by 1 minus x, which is going to give us 0. Now, if two expressions gives you the answer 0, that means one of those expressions is equal to what? 0. So now let's take, for instance, if 5 plus x is equal to 0, what is the value of x? So let's say 5 plus x is equal to 0, what is the value of x? Or if 1 minus x is equal to 0, what is the value of x? Okay, so now let's start with the one in paper, which is 5 plus x is equal to 0. What is the value of x? So we're going to now write, so what we're going to do next here is to put like terms together. That means I'm going to have x is equal to 0, then 5 will cross the equal sign and become a negative, which is going to be minus 5. Then I'm going to evaluate 0 minus 5, but first let me write x is equal to 0 minus 5 will give us negative 5. So the value of x is negative 5 when 5 plus x is equal to 0. Okay, so when 5 plus x is equal to 0, the value of x will be negative 5. Okay, now let's come to the right side where we have 1 minus x is equal to 0. What will be the value of x? So when 1 minus x is equal to 0, the value of x will be what? Okay, so let's check. What we're going to do again here, we're going to put like terms together. So I'm going to have x, negative x is equal to 0. Now, since 1 will close the equal sign, it's going to become minus 1. Okay, so negative x is equal to 0 minus 1 will give us minus negative 1 or minus 1. Okay, now once I've reached here, what we need to do next is to get rid of the negative sign on the x side. So what we're going to do, we're going to divide both sides by negative 1. So you can also divide both sides by a negative sign, okay? But I'm going to use negative 1. So I can say divide by negative x divided by negative 1 is equal to negative 1 divided by negative 1. Okay, so negative x divided by negative 1 will give us x. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 will give us 1. So the value of x when 1 minus x is equal to 0 is 1. Okay, now once we have done this, then we can go to the graph now and try to come up with the coordinates. Remember, we are told to find the coordinates of A and B. So let's go to A. The point for A is here, the one I've pointed with a leading point there, and the point of B is here. Now let's find the coordinates. Now we should realize that this is the y-axis and this is the x-axis. So when you look at the where the graph is meeting the x-axis, the point which is there, which is B and which is A, you can see that the reading of y-axis is 0. Okay, so therefore the coordinate for A will have the reading of on the y-axis to be 0, as well as for B it will be 0. So what you can do now here is, since we have come up with these coordinates, now we have got negative 5 and 1. So which one is going to be negative 5 and which one is going to be positive 1? So as you can see, A is on the negative signs, right? And it's a bit far away from the y-axis than B. And B is on the positive side. So as you can see, so B will get the positive 1 and A will get negative 5. So we can say the coordinate for point A is, for point B is 1, 0. 1, 0. And the coordinate for B is negative 5, 0. Negative 5, 0. Okay. Then we come to question 2, which is find the maximum value of y. So the formula we use to find the maximum value of y is this one. Okay. Okay. So what we're going to do now here is we're going to identify which one is A, B, and C. So we're going to use this equation which is on top here. Okay. This is the equation we're going to use. Okay. So I want you to focus on that equation as I name those terms in the equation as A and B so that you don't get lost. So in that equation, the term which is A, the term which is A is this one. Okay, the one on top there. Then the term which is B is that one, and the term which is C is that one, 5. Okay, now once we have known that, then the next thing we're going to do is this. We are going to ask ourselves to say, we have got here y, we have got y is equal to 4ac minus b. So what is the value of a there? So we know that a has got the coefficient which is 1, which is negative 1. So it's going to be negative 1. So we're going to say 4 multiplied by negative 1. Then what is the value of c? C we are told is 5. So we're going to multiply by 5. Then what is the value of b? The value of b is negative 4. So we're going to say minus negative 4. Okay. Then once we have done that, then we're going to now come down here. We have got 4. What is the value of a? It's negative 1. Okay. Then what we're going to do now here is we are going to evaluate first this expression on top. Okay, that's the one we're going to focus first on, the expression on top. So what we're going to do now here is we're going to say 4 times negative 1 will give us negative 4. Negative 4 times 5 will give us negative 20. Okay, so it will give us negative 20. Okay, then we focus on negative 4 squared. Negative 4 squared is going to give us positive, which is going to be positive times so it's going to be minus 16. Okay, then minus 16, which will be over 4 times negative 1 will give us negative 4. Okay, then we're going to evaluate negative 20 minus 16 will give us negative 36, which will be divided by negative 4. Negative 36 divided by negative 4 will give us positive 9. So the maximum value of y in that graph is 9. The maximum value in that graph, the maximum value of y in that graph is 9. So basically, those were the answers. If you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. Otherwise, let's go to the final question, which is question number 23. Question 23 was as follows. The diagram below is a speed time graph of a moving car. The car decelerates uniformly from speed of 24 meters per second to the speed of v meters per second in 3 seconds. It then moves at a uniform speed of 10 seconds and finally decelerates at 3 meters per second squared until it comes to rest at after t seconds. Okay, so the questions are: find the a speed, which is v, if the deceleration in the first 3 seconds was 2 meters per second squared. Okay, so this is the question we're asked to find. So what we're going to do now here is, and we're going to use the formula of deceleration, which is deceleration is equal to initial speed minus minus final speed over time. Okay, so in the question we're told that deceleration was in 2 meters per second, so we're going to say equal to 2 meters per second squared is equal to 24 meters. Where are we getting 24 meters per second? It's here. Okay, then we're going to say what is the final speed. So the final speed of this vehicle of deceleration for 3 seconds, it is in here, and we don't know it. It's a one we want to find. So what we're going to do here is we're going to write 24 meters per second minus the final speed, which will be divided over time. So the time we are told it took 3 seconds, so it's over 3 seconds. Okay, once we have done that, then we're going to say we're going to cross multiply. Okay, so 24 will be multiplied by 1. Okay, will be multiplied by 1. So if we write 2 over 1, the 2 hasn't lost its value, so the value will be the same. Then what we're going to do now here is we are going to write 24 meters, or 24 minus v. I'm not just going to I'm just going to ignore the units a bit, so I'm going to say 24 meters, 24 minus v, which will be time is equal to 6. So 2 times 3 will give us 6. Okay, then I'm going to put like terms together there, so I'm going to write equal to negative v is equal to 6 minus 24. Okay, 24 is crossing the equal sign, it's going to become minus. Okay, once we do that, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to find the value of 6 minus 24. So I'm going to write negative v is equal to 6 minus 24 give me negative 18. Okay, now once I've done this, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both terms by negative 1. Okay, so which will give me negative v divided by negative 1 will give me v, which is negative 18 divided by negative 1 will give me 18. So the value of the speed there is 18 meters per second. So the value of v, so the v I'm talking about is here, is 18 meters per second. So I'm also going to indicate 18 meters per second there. Okay, once I've done that, that means that is the answer. So v there is equal to 18 seconds, 18 meters per second. Now let's come to question B, which is find the distance covered in the first 13 seconds. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we are asked to find the distance the vehicle covered in 13 seconds. So starting from here going up to 13 there. Okay, that's what we want to find. We want to find the distance the vehicle covered the distance the vehicle covered from there up to here. Okay, so that distance, how are we going to find it? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this entire shape. We're going to use the formula of finding the shape, the area of the shape, to find the distance. So I'm going to use this, I'm going to divide this triangle. I'll find the area of triangle alone. Then later on, I'm going to find the area of this rectangle. Okay, then I'm going to combine the area of the two shapes, the triangle and the rectangle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start with the area of a rectangle, which is, we're going to say distance is equal to area of triangle, which is 1 over 2 multiplied by h multiplied by b plus the area of the rectangle, which is L times b. So when we go on, when we start with a rectangle, we focus on this one in the first formula. When we focus on this one, okay, we know that the base is equal to 3, but the height is, we have 24 and 18. So we're going to find the difference of 24 and 18. The difference is the height of the triangle. So what we're going to do now here is, I'm going to write d is equal to 1 over 2 multiplied by, so 24 minus the height. Now I'm looking for the height, so 24 minus 18 will give me 6, then multiplied by the base. The base, when you look at the distance from here up to here, you find that it is 3, so that is the same base even there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write times 3, then close bracket, then I'm going to open bracket plus, so the length, now we come to the rectangle. So now we want to find the area of this rectangle. Okay, so now as you can see, the length is here and it is 13, so I'm going to say 13, so I'm going to multiply 13 times. Now when we come to the height of the rectangle, you see that the height is here. Okay, so this is the height. So when you look at that height, it from 0 to 18, so we're going to say multiply by 18. Okay, so we're going to say 13 times 18. Okay, now then I'm going to write d is equal to 9, because 1 over 2 times 6 will give us 3. 3 times 3 will give us 9. Okay, excuse me. Then we say 13 times 18 will give us 234. When you find the sum of 9 and 234, you find that it is distance is equal to 243. So 243 is the distance the vehicle covered in 13 seconds. So I can even put meters there. So the vehicle covered the distance of 243 meters in 13 seconds. Okay, now we come to question number C, value of t. Okay, so we asked to find the value of t. If you are not sure where t is, the t is here. Okay, sorry, t is here. Okay, the one I've circled there is, that is t. So asked to find the value of t. Okay, so to find the value of t, what we're going to do here, I'm going to use this triangle to find the value of t. After I've done that, after I find the value of t, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 13 to the value I'm going to find, which is for t. However, I'm going to use the area of the triangle to find the value of t, or I'm going to use the deceleration of the vehicle from 13 to the time it stopped, which is t. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the formula of deceleration, not area. So I'm going to write deceleration is equal to initial speed minus final speed, which is over time. Okay, over time. Okay, so we are told that the vehicle from 13, it decelerates, the deceleration was 3 meters per second squared. Okay, it was 3 meters per second squared. So what was the initial speed? So to find the initial speed for the final journey, we can see that here. So when look, follow these lines coming to 18. So the initial speed was 18. Okay, so the initial speed was 18, which is, so deceleration we're told was 3 meters per second, so I'm not going to use units. Then what was the initial speed, which will be equal to 18? That's what we found. The initial speed was 18, then minus final speed, which is 0. So we're getting the final speed at this point. Now, in the statement, we are also told that the vehicle moved until it came to rest. Okay, so using that information, we can say now the initial speed, the final speed is 0. Okay, over time. What is time is not given, so I'm going to put t there. Okay, then I'm going to evaluate 18 minus 0. So I'm going to write 3, which is 3 is equal to 18 minus 0 give us 18, then over t. Okay, once I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cross multiply. Excuse me, I'm going to cross multiply. Then here where I'm going to multiply t with 1, I'm going to multiply 18 by 1. So 3 over 1 is the same as 3. Okay, so 3 times t will give us, okay, let me say equal to 3 times t will give us 3t, which will be equal to 18 times 1 will give us 18. Okay. Okay, once we've done this, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to now simplify 18, 3t divided by 3, where I want to remain with t on one side of the equal sign, and 18 divided by 3. Okay, so 3t divided by 3 will give us t. Then I hope you can see where I'm writing now. I've started writing the answers here. Okay. Okay, then we say 18 divided by 3 will give us 6. Okay, now, like I said earlier on, I said when we find the value of t using we focus on the final triangle, then we are going to add 13 to the value we're going to find. So we're going to say 6 plus 13, which will give us t is equal to 19. Okay, it's going to give us 19. So the value of t is 19 seconds. So the time is 19 seconds there. So that is the value of t there. So basically, this is how you find, you work questions that involves time graph. If you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. If there is somewhere where you need us to explain more, we'll do that. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also invite your friends to subscribe to our YouTube. Otherwise, see you in the next video, and God bless you.